Janani Sharadam Devi Ramakrishnan Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurumuhum Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukasvarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Yeah, dear devotees, today is a very auspicious day, Gita Jayanti. Lord Krishna, keeping Arjuna as a nimitta, he gave the immortal message through Bhagavad Gita. I mean, of course, he himself says that it was there always. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavana hamam vyayam vivasvan manave prahu manurikshvaka vyabravit. Had told for earlier, and till Ikshvaku it came, and in due course of time it was lapsed. Again, I am telling you, so again it is getting reviewed, revived, he says Krishna. So, like this, the Vedanta philosophy also has been told from long time, from the eons, 10,000 years, 20,000 years, 25,000 years, or 5,000 years. But we keep on forgetting. We keep on forgetting. The whole mankind keeps on forgetting. So, time and again, either prophets, incarnations, they descend on this earth and they remind us the old ancient ideas and ideals in the present day context with the language. For example, Adi Shankaracharya, the way he used, the way he taught, when he came to Ramanuja and Madhva was different. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, it was different. Same Krishna, whatever he taught, Bhagavad Gita, the same ideas and ideals was taught by Ramakrishna, the same ideas and ideals, but in a different language. Language style, you can say, syntax, you can say, context, you can say. Why? Because of the necessity of the society. Based on the necessity of the society, based on the problems existing in the society, they give the teachings, keeping the universal ideas and ideals intact. So this, if you can understand, you'll be able to get a current, or you'll be able to get a thread between all the incarnations. And also you'll be able to understand how they are more or less the same ideas, universal ideas and ideals, how they are taught in a different way, we can understand. Like Swami Vivekananda taught Advaita Vedanta, no doubt, but he interpreted in such a way that the present day science, present day rationality, rational mindset, or psychology, or scientific mindset, everyone can challenge Vedanta, and still the Vedanta can face all these tests, and they'll be able to answer. That's what Swami Vivekananda's big contribution in the present day, apart from so many other things. Now, Swamiji is giving his address at Pamban. Pamban is a Tamil Nadu, where Raja of Ramnad, Bhaskar Setupati's place. So here, Bhaskar Setupati welcomed him with all great pomp and show, with all the things, and himself kept, as I told, if you remember, himself kept his body or the head, and he said, he asked Swamiji to keep his feet on his head itself. Now the king himself is asking for Swami Vivekananda to keep his foot or feet on his head. See, any person would have felt it, how I am great, But the interesting thing of Swamiji is, Swamiji never accepted it. He said, you may be my disciple, but still you are a Raja. You are a king. So Raja Pratyaksha Devata. So in front of people, you are a Raja. So please don't put me under a difficult position. So I shall not, saying that he kept his foot on the motherland. So the place where he landed, there is a big pillar. The big pillar has been erected in the honor of Swami Vivekananda, which can be seen even today. So the magnanimity of the Swami Vivekananda's personality we can find here. Now, so and also if you see in the beginning of the lecture, whatever today I have got good things, it is because of the India and Indians and few, of course, the grace of Guru, the grace of Almighty, and the encourage of few great people like your king, Bhaskar Setupati, Swamiji said. And this is one more interesting point is the real leader, whenever good happens, he gives the he attributes them to the, to the team. And when problem happens, when mistake happens, he takes the mistake or he takes the blame on himself. Now, why I am telling all these things? You may get a question. Swamiji, you are supposed to discuss lectures from Colombo to Almora. Why are you discussing all these things? So this is called in between lines. When you were reading Swami Vivekananda's life, Swami Vivekananda's teachings or incidents from Swami Vivekananda, when you were reading, you might have read this, but we might not notice, or you might have noticed also. So that's what I'm asking you to give this attention to these minute details so that we can understand the magnanimity, the greatness and the uniqueness of the Holy Trio and the other saints' personalities, from which we also can learn few life lessons. How to behave, how to act in given circumstances. Now, how can we think that we are studying Swamiji's life, Thakur's life, Mother's life? When the problem comes or when the challenges comes, if we can relate to Sri Ramakrishna's life or Holy Mother's life, or can we relate to the teachings of Holy Mother or Sri Ramakrishna or Bhagavad Gita, then you can know for certain that you are making a study, or otherwise it is a surface reading. For an example, my mind is I am undergoing lot of troubles. What to do? Ki koraja eta amar kapal. This is what generally, mostly many times we think. Thakure richa. This is what we think. Okay, fair enough. But now if you read scriptures, if you have read Thakur Swamiji's life, you will be able to connect them. Instantly, immediately one sloka, it's coming to my mind is now in the Bhagavad Gita, which is often I quote this sloka, Matra sparshast kaunteya shitoshta sukha dukkadaha agama paino nitya tanti tikshasva bharata. O Arjuna, when the senses come into contact with sense objects, the pair of opposites like cold and heat, happiness and unhappiness, profit and loss, all these things are bound to come. Imagine, bound to come, but bound to go also. Agama apayinaha. Agama means comes, apayina means goes, anityaha. They are not permanent. How much ever difficulty I may have, it might stay for a few months, maybe 1 year, but it goes away. Tan titikshasva. So complete, so forbear. So how to forbear? Why to forbear? One is because there is no other option. Because of out of helplessness, I can forbear. Second is, I being the self, all these things related to body and mind. So let me try to get above it. That's what Advaita Vedanta comes into picture here. Being a Sakshi, trying to identify yourself with the Thakurs, Thakurer Chele, Mayer Chele, Swamijir Santan. So either from Bhakti point of view, you can take that and you can forbear, or I am the self, and all these problems or whatever, it all belong to mind and body and not to me. So when you study philosophy, when you study Thakur Swamiji's life and teachings, so in our day-to-day life, when we get different type of problems, different type of challenges, we should be able to face them. That's why we should study. One is we have got a intellectual hunger, intellectual inquisitiveness. Oh, let me see what Swami Vivekananda has said in lectures from Colombo to Almora. So there are some people who are intellectual pursuits who have got, they also study, no doubt. But we devotees, so, and we are supposed to be spiritual aspirants also. So all these things should bring some value for our life. So that we will stop changing the world, we'll stop changing people, and we will start changing ourselves. This is very important, important stand or important curve, which is very essential for all of us in our life. We are always busy in changing the people, but we may not think or we may not try to change ourselves. So by reading Upanishads, you will be able to understand that first the change has to start from within. So like this, many things you can get interesting what do you say, facts, interesting points from Holy Trio's life and message. We shall try to understand. When the vibrations of light are very intense, we do not see them because we are so constituted that we cannot go beyond our own plane of vision. But the yogi with a spiritual introspection is able to see through the materialistic veil of the vulgar crowds. So, whatever we are perceiving from these five sense organs of knowledge, Pancha Gnanendriyas, we think it is right. Why? Because our knowledge says. Yes, but Swami Vivekananda is saying that there are so many things existing which is not perceptible to our five sense organs of knowledge. For an example, there is a dim light, particular, it is a, say for an example, it is a particular frequency like 5 hertz or 3 hertz. So which is not perceivable by our human eye. And there is a 200 or 300 hertz, even that is also not perceivable by our human eye. So there is a particular range in which human eye can perceive. Now this is a question, this question was put by Vedanta as a challenge to the science. If you study philosophy, classical philosophies and all, say in 19th century in the Vienna Circle, there were a class of intellectuals who started discussing about the philosophy. And they said, in the physics, maths, chemistry, more or less, one theory comes, it has been proved, it will be proved, verified, and it has been accepted. But in philosophy, there are so much difference of opinions. There are so much disparity, so-called. Why is it so? Then some of them, they start thinking that there is ambiguity in the language. Language structure has to be done properly. Then it becomes okay. Like Frege, Wittgenstein, all of them took that turn. And some of the philosophers, they said, look, because the metaphysics cannot be verified, unlike scientific experiments, that's why metaphysics is meaningless. The metaphysics, total philosophy is meaningless. The pursuit of philosophy or wisdom, so-called, is meaningless, they said. For that, they gave their main argument was what? Whatever the empirical science gives, it is verifiable. When I say that, for an example, atoms, the whole world is made up of atoms. Atoms consists of nucleus, protons, electrons, and whatnot. That can be verified through the experiments and through the instruments. But whereas we say that I am that consciousness, not the body and mind, you say it is subjective and it is not verified by my five sense organs of knowledge. That's why it is meaningless, they said. Now, Swami Vivekananda is putting a contra question for them, if at all, if you can say, or Vedanta is putting a challenge question to the science. Okay, you say that whatever is perceptible through five sense organs of knowledge alone is true, means some things are not perceptible. Your own science accepts it. Then what about that? So your premises is wrong. Your premises is narrow, or your premises is not right. So whatever I am perceptible of five sense organs of knowledge alone is true is completely falsified by our Vedanta, which is taken by Swamiji. So when you study the classical philosophy, Indian philosophy and Western philosophy in detail, you will be able to understand and you will be able to appreciate these statements, how philosophically has its implications. The eyes of the whole world are now turned towards this land, India, for spiritual food. And India has to provide it for all the races. I don't know whether once had written an article, India's spiritual contribution to the world for Prabuddha Bharata. I think once also I shared with our Chandrani Di also. Of course, I had given only the, snapshot there itself. But otherwise, a lot of things, lot of things are available. If you have read my article, you will be able to remember now, yes, how beautiful things were. Even today also, more or less, the West is looking towards India for this, for the spirituality or for the philosophy. And the concept of Atman, concept of Atman and other things has so much effect on the India. on the world. And few things probably I will give you how things are. As Swami Vivekananda gave a lot of influence on these people, and Aurobindo and integral yoga, Buddha's teachings, Sankhya and yoga, all these things. And for an example, in Germany, German idealism, Arthur Schofener and Frederick, all of them were influenced by Indian ideas about the self, will, and the reality. Even in the American transcendentalists like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David, they were also very much influenced by our Hindu and Buddhistic texts, especially Bhagavad Gita and etc. And even the modern psychologists, the emotional well-being, mindfulness, physical well-being, mental well-being, all these things we speak of, all are rooted in Indian traditions, either in Upanishad or Sankhya or yoga or Buddhistic traditions. Now, even say in quantic physicists like Erwin Schrödinger or Werner Heisenberg, they're also, though they are quantum physicists, they also have been influenced by our Indian philosophical ideas, especially Advaita Vedanta and neuroscience. Dalai Lama put an open challenge for them, and that's how a lot of experiments they did on the meditation and the etc. So present day neuroscience, neurology or neuroscience has taken a lot of different turns because of this meditation, Indian meditation things. And we all know that yoga, of course. So just like, to name few, I can keep on quoting like this. So many people have, influenced by Indian thought. Even for example, in Ireland, also way back, his name, Yeats, I think. Yeats was influenced by Indian wisdom, and he translated Upanishads into the English with the help of Evan Pandit. That's how the Vedanta entered Ireland, for an example. Even I think I'm not able to recall the name of the modern Western psychologist. He was considered as father of Western psychology and the father of modern Western psychology. His office, if you see, in his office, there was a Lord Krishna's photo behind him. So someone asked, why have you kept the Lord Krishna's photo? Oh, because today, whatever I have discovered, whatever I have contributed to the society in the psychology field, that is all because of Krishna, that is all because of Bhagavad Gita. So like that, we can quote so many things, how the human mankind has changed their thought or their thinking pattern and all other things. So when Swami Vivekananda says that the whole world is turned towards this land of India for spiritual food, it may feel that sometimes it may be exaggeration, or because he was a patriotic about India. That's why Swamiji is telling you may feel that no. When you go and study world history in deep, especially the thought, how the world thought has been formed at different stages, when you go the historical perspective towards the philosophy and all, you'll be able to understand Swamiji's statements. And India has to provide it for all the races. India's contribution, India's role is what? Providing the spirituality or the philosophical thoughts to all races, across the globe, across the religions, across the races. Why? Here alone is the best ideal for mankind. Western scholars are now striving to understand this ideal, which is enshrined in our Sanskrit literature and philosophy, which has been the characteristic of India all through the ages. Now, here alone is the best ideal for mankind. This is one important statement which we have to understand here. Best ideal for mankind, why? Because our rishis, of course, if you see in the West also, before Renaissance, the saints and the philosophers, Greek philosophers, Roman philosophers, and even the Europe philosophers, initially, they were all spiritual in mindset, and their interest was either knowledge pursuit or search for truth or for the betterment of the humankind. That was their intention, and they found out and they gave to the humanity. But afterwards, during the Renaissance or after the Renaissance, what happened? The philosophy more or less became the intellectual gymnasium for them. So it is for inquisitiveness, and if I find out some newism, or if I write an independent book, a book on an independent thought, then I can be a professor of a university. I can be the dean. I can be the HOD of a important college, I mean to say. That's how it creeped in. And that's the reason, if you see, after 16th, 17th centuries and all, there's a political influence. Apart from that, every 10, 15 years, new isms, new schools with either opposites or with a different variations has been seen. Realism, idealism, neo-realism, like this, so many, every 10, 15 years, so many isms have come. Why? Because it is not that they are progressive. Sometimes we may think that we might been told that they are very progressive. It is not so. Rather, because it has not been well established in the experience. It was mere thinking. For example, there are very funny stories. For example, a philosopher gave a realism. Now, his own disciple, who was working under him, now after 10 or 15 years, because to establish himself or to become the, the professor of an university, whatever the flaws he knew, or he said, this is not right, this is not wrong, this is wrong, etc. Saying that, he brought a slight changes, and he established as a new school of philosophy, and he became the professor of an university, so-called notable philosopher. All these things we can see. So now in the West, as a society, as a social ethics, it is very good. For example, they are aware of the society. They don't spoil the atmosphere easily. Even though there is a need of housing crisis in the whole of Europe, there's an housing crisis, but that unlike India, unlike South African countries, they don't build the houses anywhere and everywhere erratically. Oh, I give you money, so you give a permission, I will build a house in whatever way I want, erratically, which can be a nuisance to the environment and to the public. But in the Europe, if you see, you can't do that. And also spoiling things. Even when the people go outside, it is not that everywhere you get bathrooms, toilets, washrooms. 2-3 hours they have to travel without any of this, arrangement. Sometimes even they try to manage themselves. But in India, because there is no washroom, immediately they go somewhere. So the social ethics is weak in Asia, and especially in India and all. By seeing that, we have got Vedanta, we have got religion, spirituality, what is the use? Sometimes we mock at it. Whereas West, you see, everything is best. Everything is so clean, neat, and tidy. So that's why they are superior. That's how sometimes Indians do think and Indians do argue. Now, the difference here is the social ethics is very strong in the West. That's why they have neat, clean, tidy, and etc. And whereas when it comes to India, unfortunately, social ethics is comparatively, it is always weak. We are weak in social ethics from the civilizations. Whereas individual ethics is very strong. Just to maintain the word. Harishchandra lost his whole kingdom. He gave this kingdom, and he had to sell his own son and the wife just to maintain the word. And if you see that is Harishchandra, Satya Harishchandra's story I'm telling you. And one more story I can tell you, Shibi Chakravarti. Just to maintain his word for the pigeon, because he gave the shelter for the pigeon, either the eagle or some other bird said, okay, you gave a shelter for the pigeon and you are maintaining your word, no doubt. But I have to stay. I have to eat. That's how the nature has been built. Now that was my food. You snatched away my food. Now I have to go hunger. What can I do? You do some justice, you being the king. Either the eagle or the vulture asked. Then Shibi Chakravarti, he weighs the pigeon, say for an example, 2 kgs, and he removes the muzzle, the flesh portion from his thigh, and he was ready to give. Then the vulture or eagle, then he appeared as the Yamadharmaraya was there, the truth, the god of the Lord of truth or the Lord of the death. He appeared and said, I was testing you, so you need not to remove the muzzle or flesh from the thighs. So leave it, saying that. So like that, there are so many stories we can get from Indian history. So individually, we are, no doubt, we were all strong, but social ethics were weak. That's the reason we were ruled by others. But in spite of that, we were able to retain our culture and our religion. Why? Because individually we were strong. That's what Swamiji is saying. Here alone is the best ideal for mankind. Renunciation, we can see. Dadichis, greatest sacrifice we can see. For example, I don't say that this type of things we don't find in other religions, in other civilizations. There are there, no doubt, but in India, it is ample and it is everywhere. That is what we mean here. And you see, from Charvaka philosophy to Advaita philosophy was existing in India. When it in the Semitic religions, there was Jews and tribal religions. When the Islam and Christianity spread, and they had their own evolution in their philosophy and religion, at some point of time, they felt this is the highest thing. Then they stayed, and all other religions, all other cultures, and all others, they destroyed it, and everyone had to follow that. So they didn't allow other religions, they didn't allow other cultures, other thinking patterns for coexistence. Though we got Advaita, one of the greatest philosophy, at the same time, we also allowed Charvakas for their sustenance. Okay, if you feel that through your philosophy you can reach God, then go ahead. Such a magnanimity, such a universality is been showed by our Indians. A great ideal. And where I am that consciousness, the consciousness and consciousness alone exist. And consciousness is appearing as energy and the matter. So this is the possible human, philosophy or truth one can perceive has been found out by India long back, age back. Ages before. And today the present science is accepting. I think recently in one of the scientific maybe conference or somewhere, so some of the scientists, notable scientists, have made a claim. Of course, I read a piece of information. I'm yet to get complete details about it. They have made a statement saying that yes, we didn't understand the Indian philosophy properly. The Indian rishis or the Indian philosophers have much contributed. We have to understand them. By that we can solve many things. And today, the condensed form of energy is what matter has been accepted by science. That was told by Vedanta and Sankhya thousands of years before. The consciousness has been in the Tanmatras, from Tanmatras, Panchabhutas to world, if you remember my Tattva Bodha lectures. Isn't it? Or for example, when you go to Sankhya, Prakriti, Mula Prakriti to Trigunatmika, that is Asmita or whatever, from there, then Trigunas, from Trigunas, this whole Panchabhutas has been come. Now Prana and all comes into picture there. So consciousness, energy, matter. This is what the gradation you can see. From the subtlest to the grosser we are coming. So the science has gone to the intermediary stage where the condensed form of energy is what matter today is accepted. So we have gone one more step ahead. Consciousness itself is appearing as energy. And today science is yet to discuss about all these things. And today, whatever Maya, of course, in a very crude way, they are telling that even the quantum mechanics and quantum physics, after going further and all, then some light particles and light rays and few other things, they are behaving in a particular way. Why they are behaving, we don't know. It is a mirage, or it is inexplainable, and it is like Maya. They are saying that. So they have got a very crude understanding of Maya there. I'm not saying that the Advaitas Maya they have accepted, but more or less some type of understanding they are getting into it. So science is progressing anyhow. So from all these things, from all this angle, we can understand here how here alone is the best ideal for mankind. And Swamiji is telling that from the history, no missionary went out of India to propagate the Hindu doctrines and dogmas. But a wonderful change is coming over us. So the Buddhist monks or the Buddhist scholars went different parts of countries to the, if not Europe, at least Sri Lanka, Maldives, Philippines, or China, Tibet, Japan, till Afghanistan this side. Buddhist scholars, Buddhist monks went for missionaries, no doubt, but Hindus or Sanatanis and Jains, they didn't go at all. So I'm just telling that. Whereas with others, it is they have gone always in the Islam and Christianity, we can see very well. Now, Swamiji is telling that, but the time has changed now. Now Hindus also, as a missionaries, has to go to the different parts of the world and they have to discuss. Just a minute, someone has come near the door.
Yeah, maybe in school there are some parents. Is it usually there or? Not all time, sometimes. You're 8, you better take truck. Oh, it's a very rare. We don't see like that. Oh, no, it's not.
Sorry, someone was at the door. Yeah. So when you see all these things, you'll be able to understand how we were so deep and how we were active and how much we have gone progressive or advanced in our philosophical traditions and the philosophical outlook. Anyway, and now this is a time where we should send our missionaries to preach Vedanta, to preach the Hindu ideas. Hindu ideas is not from the cultural angle I'm speaking, from the philosophical angle, and which has been started by Swamiji. And because of Swamiji's opening the channel, so many gurus have come and are coming to the West especially, and they are teaching their doctrines, their dogmas, their philosophical ideas. And a lot of schools, lot of ashramas, lot of monasteries have come across the world, which we can see, which was Swami Vivekananda was pioneer for these things. And Swamiji gives this Eda Eda Hi Dharmasya idea. And religious researchers disclose to us the fact that there is not a country possessing a good ethical code, but has borrowed something of it from us. And there is not one religion possessing good ideas of the immortality of the soul, but has derived it directly or indirectly from us. So if you see, interestingly, either in the Egypt civilization, in the Roman civilization, in the Greek civilization, and in many other civilizations, so many ideas were culled from India. For example, the last, probably the Darashuku, the Aurangzeb's brother, who was interested in all these things, he translated few, maybe parts of Persia, the Upanishads into Persian language. That was, then it was translated into Latin. That's how Skofener read that. Then afterwards, he felt so happy about it, and he said, "It is a solace of my life." And every day he used to read few pages, though it was a translation of that Upanishads, and he started reading, and his philosophy was influenced. So like this, even in the Romans, we can see that there were a lot of, influence by us. And so-called today 0 to 9, it is called Arab numerals, but it is not Arab numerals. Actually, it was Indian numerals. Because we have got a history, first, second century itself, Arabs used to come to the Kerala for the business as a trade. And a lot of settlements has happened, and Indians have married Arabs, Arabs married Indians and all. So when they came here, they borrowed our knowledge and they gave to their country. And the West was connected with the Arab, not to the India all the time. That's so because they learned from the Arabs, they named it as Arab numerals, 0 to 9, for example. So like that, not only in the maths, in the science, and even if you can see in our astronomy and astrology books, lot of things which we have shared, either Greeks and Romans, and we have shared each other. We can see the even few, words. When you see few words, we very clearly we can say it was not our original words, which is from Sanskrit roots and all. But still it is there. Why? Because the influence of Greeks and Romans on us. And the same thing we can also see that there was also a lot of influence of our Indian wisdom. Of course, this alone we can take 1 or 2 hours, how the Indian wisdom or Indian thought process affected the world at large. And now Swamiji is telling one more, why Sri Ramakrishna came, descended, or why Swami Vivekananda himself has descended, our mother has descended. There never was a time in the world's history when there was so much robbery and high-handedness and tyranny of the strong over the weak, as at this later end of the 19th century. So 19th century, the whole world, including India, what was the position? So adharma was rising. So robbery was there. And strong over the weak was there. So many tyrannies were there. That is the reason there was a necessity of incarnation again to protect the dharma, to protect the righteous people. See, this one sentence itself, it shows very clearly why Sri Ramakrishna has to descend, and why Sri Ramakrishna made the love as his instrument. Many times people say, "Oh, why like Rama and Krishna? Why did not Ramakrishna?" Because in those days, still the kingship was there. He could have become a king. He could have fought for it, and he could have killed adharmic people and all. Like Rama and Krishna, he did. Why did not Ramakrishna do it? Because if Ramakrishna has to do in such a way that probably 80 or 90% of the population he has to wipe off, because of so much adharmic nature was there in people or in the society. That's the reason he came as a manifestation of full Shuddha Sattva, and he tried to teach the mindset of the people. He tried to kill the Rakshasic nature of the which is in the minds. What Sri Ramakrishna is trying to do, that Sri Ramakrishna is trying to remove that worldliness and trying to remove the demonic nature in every human being. That is the one of the greatest function of Sri Ramakrishna in the present day. And Swami Vivekananda is saying, what is the reason for that demonic nature? Because the matter has taken over the mind and the soul or the self. Until otherwise we control our passions, until otherwise we control the desires, if we don't regulate our mind, then what happens? We become demonical in nature. Means if we start behaving instinctively, then we become, pashutva. Pashutva means it is animalless. We may have got human body, but there will be animalless. So many social evils we are seeing across the world and also in India. Why? Because such people are unable to control their mind, unable to control their desires, unable to regulate their life. That's where the demonical nature is there. Either you can say corruption, or you can say that rapes we hear and killings we hear. All these things. Why? Because they're unable to control their instincts. So here Vedanta, philosophy, Lord, spirituality comes into our rescue. If you use them properly, you'll be able to control them, and in reality, you will be a real human being. And he says that once you are ready, and all the nations are trying to understand this great phenomena, that controlling the desire is very, very important. And again, Swamiji is telling that one more interesting point is, because recently I had been to Kak for a Holy Mother Jayanti in one of our study center. There one fellow said, Swamiji, when can I get my Guru? Then I said, when you are ready, you will get your Guru. So Swamiji is telling very clearly, as soon as the disciple is in a position to grasp this truth, the words of the Guru come to his help. So when Gurus can come in our life, when we are ready. First point. And okay, Guru came. All of us, we have initiated. And Guru has come. Guru has sown the seed, spiritual seed in all of us by giving the mantra of the God, which has been received by God himself. Sri Ramakrishna gave all these things to Raja Maharaj, to Holy Mother and all. Holy Mother herself, Adishakti herself has given so many mantras. So based on that, we are receiving the mantras from our Gurus. The spiritual seed has been sown for us. Now we have to make use of it. As soon as the disciple is in a position to grasp this truth, the words of the Guru come to his help. But in spite of that, out of compassion, Gurus have given the truth for us. The Ramakrishna mantra is the greatest truth, greatest, jewel, greatest diamond we have got. Now we have to make use of it. How? By leading a proper life as much as possible with sincerity, with devotion, with concentration, with perseverance. If we can make the japa more and more intensely, then what happens? Our spiritual unfoldment becomes better. And Guru is there for our rescue also. And the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Swamiji is available. They are the greatest jewels, greatest treasure house. That is also available for us. We have to read, study, understand, and as much as possible, we have to put into practice. Then you keep on going. If there are problems, definitely can be issues, problems. Guru will come to our rescue. Lord, our Mother will come to our rescue. Why? The Lord sends help to his own children in his infinite mercy, which never ceases and is ever flowing in all grades. So God's grace, God's compassion, mercy is ever flowing. Karuna Sagar, Karuna Pathar, Sri Ramakrishna in Kandanabhava Bandhana, we say Karuna Pathar is the embodiment of, is like his compassion is like an ocean. Like I have got a compassion to someone, for example, someone asks and help, or someone asks you help, say 5,000 or 10,000 you give, and after some time again they will ask you, you may give one, two, three times. Afterwards you said, my dear, whatever is possible I have done, please don't come. Either you are not interested to help them, you are feeling that too much, or you are not in a position to help. So many times our compassion, our helping is limited because of so many reasons. But God's compassion is unlimited. I am doing so many mistakes and I am asking Thakur, please forgive me. Amake Shama Kurudin. Theek ache. Egiye jao. Sri Ramakrishna forgives and he encourages us to go further. Just imagine if Sri Ramakrishna is a hard taskmaster, if he was a merciless like a dictator, how many of us would have come to spiritual life? Sri Ramakrishna is so magnanimous, so compassionate. That's where, in spite of all of our difficulties, all of our shortcomings and mistakes, blunders, we are doing it. It is not only physical, at mental level, spiritual level, I am speaking. So still, they are forgiving us and they are holding our hands, they are leading us. What a great assurance we have got from the Thakur. We have to understand that, we have to remember that. Hindus have now been placed under God's providence in a very critical and responsible position. So the Lord himself has descended on this earth and he has given us great ideas and he did sadhana and he has poured that his spiritual power to the betterment of the humankind. That itself shows that we are in the protection of the providence. But that is not alone enough. We also have to work. We have to do our duty. Now, nations of the West are coming to us for spiritual help. That is true. So the West is looking towards philosophical and spiritual help from the India or from the Asia or from the East. But instead of giving a wrong advertisements or just for a name and fame or for power and position, for the money, instead of spoiling or diluting the religion and philosophy, we should give the right things so that in due course of time, we get a lot of people towards the Vedanta, which is betterment of the society. And Swami Vivekananda is saying, a great moral obligation rests on the sons of India to fully equip themselves for the work of enlightening the world on the problems of human existence. So the whole world is seeing towards the India. We Indians, oh, our India is great, our Hinduism is great, Vedanta is great. Just beating the drums is not enough. We have to prepare ourselves on this telling. So he's asked, every Indian has to be missionary. Means we have to study, we have to read, understand, and when the people come, we should be able to put things across in a proper way so that the problems of human existence can be solved. For example, human efforts with free will, human efforts versus free will. There's a huge debate in the classical Western philosophy and whether the free will exists or not. Indian philosophy has solved it so beautifully, and Sri Ramakrishna has solved so beautifully just in one parable. Similarly, the problem of evil. The problem of evil is the greatest problem. Even today, the present Christianity is unable to solve it, is unable to answer towards the problem of evil. But whereas Advaita Vedanta has solved it so beautifully. When you go deeply in philosophical thoughts and all, when you read all these things, you'll be able to understand and appreciate basically. So that's the reason I'm not going deeply for all these things. So when we read Swami Vivekananda sentences, if you have got all these, you'll be able to understand and appreciate how Swamiji was very deep in his outlook, in his thoughts, or in his utterances. And Swamiji is one more interesting point he's telling that, look, if you see in the Western countries, either their forefathers are being like Vikings and all, they were basically robbers here. So that's how the civilizations were fought and they did. Though unfortunately in India they say that we were all fighting. That doesn't mean that in the West they were not fighting at all. They were also fighting when we were fighting, more or less. But that has not been told. So their forefathers, either for robbers or maybe some kings, something like that, they've been connected. But who are our forefathers? We all connect our forefathers to the Rishis. Who is your forefather? That's how Gotra comes into picture. Oh, our Gotra is Bharadvaja Gotra, Vishwamitra Gotra, or Maitreyasa Gotra, or some Rishi's name, basically. So that Rishi is our Janaka. Rishi is the person from that, our lineage, my family has come. I may not remember all of them, but the Mula Purusha, the original person I remember. So from Bharadvaja, Gotra means from Bharadvaja, the first person is Bharadvaja. From that, our whole lineage, family has been come. So many generations have been passed, but the forefather, the first person is what? Bharadwaj. So all our forefathers, we connect to the rishis. What a great, grand civilization is ours. Swamiji is telling. And also he tells, we may be degraded and degenerated now, but however degraded, degenerated we may be, we can become great if only we begin to work in the right earnest on behalf of our religion. So we cannot neglect religion, no doubt. Swami Vivekananda is telling very clearly, because that is the nerve center of our India. We have to understand it and we have to put into practice. I mean, religion means it is to be spiritual, more or less. I mean, understanding the Vedas and Upanishads and practicing it, the Vedantic ideas. Vedantic means I'm not only speaking of Advaita Vedanta, other schools of Vedanta also includes here. So by being a really rightly spiritual and sharing that ideas to the world, again, India can be rejuvenated. India can be the world leader. And afterwards, Swamiji is thanking for the people and thanking for the Raja of Ramnad. And he's saying that if anything has happened, it is because of the good things of the people and good things of the Raja of Ramnad. And he says that if we get more dozen of Rajas of Ramnad like that, we can, our motherland becomes better. And basically, he thanks to the society and he thanks to the Raja of Ramnad. And that's how he ends with this talk. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Were you able to understand, or was it too deep, or was it too much bit confusing?
It was very, very good, enlightening and interesting.
Because sometimes they say, Swamiji, we fear that you go very deep so much so that like a drilling of a tube well where you get a water.
No, we like this, going into deep. Otherwise, what is the use of having you as our Acharya? So that superficial reading we are doing, but that in between line studies, for that you are needed, no Maharaj?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what about others? This deep is okay, or shall we go a little less deep?
No, Maharaj, this is absolutely okay. The earlier statement I also endorse the same way. I also feel.
Yes, Maharaj. Our readings are superficial. We don't get into it.
Yes, like yesterday only we were reading Leela Prasanga, and in one paragraph we are stuck, and however we tried, we couldn't understand that particular thing. So for that we think that we need guides like you for
Yeah.
explaining those things.
I think, I don't know, I
Someone
think you
explains
may
it.
know, I know that, but already I've started a Leela Prasanga series also. Some 8-10 lectures are available, I mean, done, and it is available on the YouTube in the Ayurvedanta Society. And I'm going very systematically in deep also, I'm going deeply also, there also. So if you are interested and if you got a time, individually, I used to say, or individually or collectively, you can hear to that lecture and you can come with the questions. If you need me, then I can answer. Because what I used to say that already is available, you can make use of it and you'll be able to understand. That's what I used to say.
No, you are starting, as I mentioned, you are starting with the third part, and we are actually going in that chronological following the Bengali. So we have just reached the second part. So in that Abhotaranika part, so there one paragraph is there which deals with the time, space, and that thing that thought came into the mind, Brahman's mind. So that the thought and the time, space, those are actually simultaneous like that. So those few lines were very difficult for us. Means we have some
I mean,
vague knowledge because
no, I
that
didn't
also.
go. Yeah, yeah. Might be what I missed to say that why I took the third part of Leela Prasanga. It is not that I took in between. However, Sharat Marj has written the chronology in the sense like the how Sharat Marj has written. In that way, I'm
Yes,
following.
yes, yes.
I'm following Sharat Maraj's writing. I mean, In the sense, like he wrote third first, and afterwards first, second, five, or something like that. So he started for the third part. He started actually. That's how I've started third part. And why? Because until otherwise you understand the Bhavamukha of Sri Ramakrishna, at least for Lila Prasanga, you will not be able to make a justice. You will not be able to understand Ramakrishna's Avatara Karya.
And whatever we have understood, whether this is in Pamban lecture or Lila Prasanga or anywhere, and thanks to you and your Tattva Bodha, means at least some basics we have studied, so at least we could get what is going on. That is also the thing.
Yes, yes. That is true. So what is that one paro? I don't know whether if you have got a time, if I read, if I understand, then I'll be able to tell. Let me see.
Yes, so just 1 minute, let me bring the book.
Meanwhile, any questions for today's lecture?
Yes, this is an sadhak or sadhana, that prothom odhyay in the second part, sadhak bhav. So আমি পড়ছি। হ্যাঁ, অতএব শাস্ত্র দৃষ্টে দেখা গেল বিশ্বমনের কল্পনাসম্ভূত জগৎটা একভাবে আমাদেরও মনঃকল্পিত, কারণ আমাদিগের ক্ষুদ্র ব্যষ্টি মন সমষ্টিভূত বিশ্বমনের সহিত শরীর ও অবয়বাদির ন্যায় অবিচ্ছেদ্য সম্বন্ধে নিত্য অবস্থিত। আবার ওই জগৎরূপ কল্পনা যে এককালে বিশ্বমনে ছিল না, পরে আরম্ভ হইল, এ কথা বলিতে পারা যায় না। কারণ নাম ও রূপ বা দেশ ও কালরূপ পদার্থদ্বয় যাহা না থাকিলে কোনরূপ বিচিত্রতার সৃষ্টি হইতে পারে না, জগৎরূপ কল্পনারই মধ্যগত বস্তু অথবা ওই কল্পনার সহিত উহারা অবিচ্ছেদ্যভাবে নিত্য বিদ্যমান। স্থিরভাবে একটু চিন্তা করিয়া দেখিলেই পাঠক ওই কথা বুঝিতে পারিবেন, এবং বেদাদি শাস্ত্র যে কেন সৃজনী শক্তির মূলীভূত কারণ প্রকৃতি বা মায়াকে অনাদি বা কালাতীত বলিয়া শিক্ষা দিয়াছেন, তাহাও হৃদয়ঙ্গম হইবে। জগৎটা যদি মনঃকল্পিতই হয় এবং ওই কল্পনার আরম্ভ যদি আমরা কাল বলিতে যাহা বুঝি তাহার ভিতর না হইয়া থাকে, তবে কথাটা দাঁড়াইল এই যে কালরূপ কল্পনার সঙ্গে সঙ্গেই জগৎরূপ কল্পনাটা তদাশ্রয় বিশ্বমনে বিদ্যমান রহিয়াছে। আমাদিগের ক্ষুদ্র ব্যষ্টিমন বহুকাল ধরিয়া ওই কল্পনা দেখিতে থাকিয়া জগতের অস্তিত্বেই দৃঢ় ধারণা করিয়া রহিয়াছে, এবং জগৎরূপ কল্পনার অতীত অদ্বয় ব্রহ্মবস্তুর সাক্ষাৎ দর্শনে বহুকাল বঞ্চিত থাকিয়া জগৎটা যে মনঃকল্পিত বস্তুমাত্র, এ কথা এককালে ভুলিয়া গিয়া আপনার ভ্রম এখন ধরিতে পারিতেছে না। কারণ পূর্বেই বলিয়াছি, যথার্থ বস্তু ও অবস্থার সহিত তুলনা করিয়াই আমরা বাহিরের ও ভিতরের ভ্রম ধরিতে সর্বদা সক্ষম হই। এই যে এইখানে
কি কোশ্চেন, ওর মধ্যে কি কোশ্চেন কি আছে, প্রশ্ন কি আছে?
কোশ্চেনটা হচ্ছে এখানটা একটা আমরা উই হ্যাভ ইন্টারপ্রিটেড ইট সামহাউ, যে এই যেখানে বলেছে ওই জগৎরূপ কল্পনা যে এককালে বিশ্বমনে ছিল না, পরে আরম্ভ হইল, এ কথা বলিতে পারা যায় না। সেখানটা কারণ নাম ও রূপ বা দেশ ও কালরূপ পদার্থদ্বয় যাহা না থাকিলে কোনরূপ বিচিত্রতার সৃষ্টি হইতে পারে না, জগৎরূপ কল্পনারই মধ্যগত বস্তু অথবা ওই কল্পনার সহিত উহারা অবিচ্ছেদ্য।
ওটা ঠিক আছে, আমি বলছি
এর পরের লাইনটা আমরা বুঝতে পারিনি, যেখানে বলা হয়েছে যে বেদাদি শাস্ত্র যে কেন সৃজনী শক্তির মূলীভূত কারণ প্রকৃতি বা মায়াকে অনাদি বা কালাতীত বলিয়া শিক্ষা দিয়েছেন, তাহাও হৃদয়ঙ্গম হইবে। এই যে জগৎটা যদি মনঃকল্পিতই হয়, এবং ওই কল্পনার আরম্ভ যদি আমরা কাল বলিতে যাহা বুঝি তাহার ভিতরে না হইয়া থাকে, তবে কথাটা দাঁড়াইল এই যে কালরূপ কল্পনার সঙ্গে সঙ্গে এই জগৎরূপ কল্পনাটা তদাশ্রয় বিশ্বমনে বিদ্যমান রহিয়াছে। এই লাইনটা বুঝিয়ে দিন।
না তো আপনার প্রশ্ন কি আছে বলুন তো।
ওই লাইনটা বুঝতে পারছি না তো মানেটা।
So this is in chapter 2, is it?
হ্যাঁ, সাধক ও সাধনা।
সাধক আর সাধনা। আর প্যারাগ্রাফ নাম্বার?
প্যারাগ্রাফ নাম্বার হচ্ছে, এটা হচ্ছে জগৎরূপ কল্পনা দেশকালের বাহিরে বর্তমান, প্রকৃতি অনাদি।
নাম্বার থাকবে তো 12 13 এরকম কিছু।
7th সাবহেডিং, যেখানে প্রশ্ন উত্তর ফর্মে দেয়া আছে না, প্রশ্ন
মানে the attitude of sadhaka in the life of incarnation of God, এটাই চ্যাপ্টার বলছেন তো আপনি?
সাধক
চ্যাপ্টারের
সাধক ও সাধনা, সেকেন্ড
সাধক, আচ্ছা সাধক আর সাধনা, আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ,
সাধক
আচ্ছা
ও সাধনা।
ওকে
তো
ওকে, ওর
ওখানে
মধ্যে
কোয়েশ্চেন অ্যান্সার্স আছে। কোয়েশ্চেন অ্যান্সার ফর্মে বলা আছে যে আমাদের প্রত্যক্ষ হচ্ছে না কেন, সবটাই যদি ভ্রম, তাহলে আমাদের এটা প্রত্যক্ষ হচ্ছে না কেন, আমরা ভ্রম বলে বুঝতে পারছি না কেন, এইগুলো যে আছে সেই প্রশ্ন উত্তরের যে উত্তরটার মধ্যে লাস্ট যে উত্তরটা রয়েছে, যেখানে বলেছে বিরাট মনে জগৎরূপ কল্পনা বিদ্যমান বলিয়াই মানব সাধারণের একরূপ ভ্রম হইতেছে, বিরাট মন কিন্তু ওই জন্যে ভ্রমে আবদ্ধ নহে। যেখানে সাপের বিষের কথাটা বলা আছে, তারপরের প্যারাগ্রাফ, সাপের মুখে বিষ রয়েছে, সাপ ওই মুখ দিয়ে নিত্য আহারাদি করছে, সাপের তাতে কিচ্ছু হচ্ছে না, কিন্তু সাপ যাকে কামড়ায় ওই বিষে তার তৎক্ষণাৎ মৃত্যু। এই অবধি হয়েছে। ওর পরের যে প্যারাগ্রাফটা আছে সেই প্যারাগ্রাফটায় ইট ইজ হেভি।
See, one is why we cannot say that when the creation started, because why or when it started, time and space, this for this Swamiji beautifully, this was one of the biggest question even I had for years together. I discussed with a lot of people and I didn't get, and one day I was reading, after my joining, I was reading a Swami Vivekananda's complete work. That's Vedanta in Lahore, I believe, one of the often quoted lecture even in my lectures. There, when I was reading night, suddenly I jumped and I jumped out of my bed and I got my answer. Two brahmacharis, one or two brahmacharis who was in my room said, "What happened, brother? All of a sudden, are you okay?" I said, "Yes, Maharaj, sorry for this abrupt behavior. What happened?" They said, "No, I got an answer for such a long time I was waiting." So why we cannot say, why the Srushti is called Anadi? Why the creation is called Anadi? Why? Because for an example, when did this creation start? Now, if you say Big Bang Theory, they will say some 10 million years before, 20 million years before, or 30 million years before. So basically, they are trying to fix the time based on some calculations. Now, logically, if you see, when started, where started, how started, when started is time, where started is what space, how it started is what process. Now, this Big Bang Theory is telling how it started actually. There was a bang suddenly and whatever was so. Now, how it started, we are also telling. Sokamayata bhausyam prajayayeti. Atman thought or the Brahman thought, let me become many, and the process started. And that's how with the help of Maya Shakti, Tanmatras came, Tanmatras, Panchabhutas, all this. So how it started, all of us, we are able to tell. When and where it started, we cannot tell. Why? Because when is what? Time actually. When it started, it means what? Time. So the time came into existence itself is after the creation starts. Just for an example, how I came into existence? Because from my father. How did he came? Because of his father. How did he? Because of his father, like that. Then someone started first father, who is what? God, you can say. God, who started? God, how did he come into existence? No, he's a birthless and all. That's what we tell them. So here, the time and space itself is the part of creation. When creation started, time came into existence. When creation starts, যখন সৃষ্টি প্রারম্ভ হলো, ও সময় আর জগতের স্পেস যে বলি, আকাশ মানে ব্লু স্কাই নাই, আকাশ মানে স্পেস, ইথার। So time and space came into existence when creation started. So that is the reason you cannot tell when really it started. That's why it is called, Upanishad says, it is Anadi, but it is Santa. Anadi means it is beginningless, but it is Santa means it can be ended. How? By God realization. The logic is, which is Anadi, it should be Ananta also. Which has got Adi, it has to be Anta. Which has got beginning, it has to be end also. That we know first is. And which is beginningless, it has to be endless also. It should be eternal also. But in the space, with the respect to Maya or the world, it is Anadi, but it is Santa, which is very unique. Why? Because we cannot say when it started. Why? Because when the time itself is a part of creation. That's why we cannot say that we don't know. Swamiji tells beautifully this in the Lahore lecture, and he tells Advaitins tell very clearly. They are very sincere enough to say we don't know. How they said? It is anirvachaniya. It is inexplainable. So was this the question yours?
No, that part we have somehow got, means like here it is mentioned না, যে যখন মনে হলো যে আমি বহু হব, ব্রহ্মর যখন মনে হলো বহু হব, তার সঙ্গে সঙ্গেই সেই বহু জগৎটাও তার মনে হওয়ার মধ্যেই ইমিডিয়েটলি সেইটা ছিল। কারণ যদি জগতের কনসেপ্ট না থাকে তাহলে মনে হতে পারতো না যে আমি বহু হব, তাই না? মানে আমি এক থেকে বহু হব মানেই তো বহু বলে কিছু একটা আছে, সেটা আমি হব, মানে এই মনে হওয়া আর জগৎটা একসঙ্গে হচ্ছে। এবং সেই সময়ই মানে এবং সেই সময় থেকেই কালটাও শুরু হচ্ছে, এই রকম বলা হচ্ছে, তাই তো? মানে সেইটা এইখানে এইখানে এই লাইনটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি মানে লাইনটা খুব ক্লিয়ার হচ্ছে না আর কি। জগৎটা যদি মনঃকল্পিতই হয় এবং ওই কল্পনার আরম্ভ যদি আমরা কাল বলিতে যাহা বুঝি তাহার ভিতর না হইয়া থাকে, তবে কথাটা দাঁড়াইল এই যে কালরূপ কল্পনার সঙ্গে সঙ্গে জগৎরূপ কল্পনাটা তদাশ্রয় বিশ্বমনে বিদ্যমান রহিয়াছে। না হইয়া থাকে তাহলে আবার বিদ্যমান রহিয়াছে বলিতেছে কেন? এই সেন্টেন্সটা একটু মানে কনসেপ্টটা আপনি যেটা বলেছেন সেটা মোটামুটি বুঝেছি, কিন্তু এই সেন্টেন্সটা ইটসেলফ ইজ আ বিট কমপ্লিকেটেড।
মহারাজ, ওটা মনে হচ্ছিল যে যখন তার মনে হচ্ছে যে আমি মাল্টিফোল্ডেড হব, সেই সেই টাইমটাই কি আমরা একদম বিগিনিং ধরতে পারি? মানে
yes, yes, that is the beginning of the creation. But when is that time? It is how many 100,000 years before, 10 million years before? We don't know that.
that we can tell.
না, সেটাই তো বলেছে, সেটাই তো বলেছে যে যদি জগৎটা যদি মনঃকল্পিতই হয় এবং ওই কল্পনার আরম্ভকে যদি, যেটা তুই বলছিস যে সেইটাই যদি কাল বলিতে যাহা বুঝি তাহার ভিতরে না হইয়া থাকে। ও মানে এখানে বলা হচ্ছে যে তাহলে কল্পনাটা যখন হলো তখন সেটা কোন সময় কল্পনাটা হলো? তাহলে যেই মুহূর্তে সময় এসে যাচ্ছে সেই সময়টা তো তখন ছিল না, তাহলে আমরা বলবো কি করে যে কোন সময় হলো?
সেই
তবে কথাটা দাঁড়াইলো এই যে কালরূপ কল্পনার সঙ্গে সঙ্গেই জগৎরূপ কল্পনাটা তদাশ্রয় বিশ্বমনে বিদ্যমান রহিয়াছে। মানে এই দুটো জিনিসকে মানে ওই ওই দ্য অল থ্রি আর অ্যাকচুয়ালি টুগেদার, রাইট?
Yes. See, like this I will tell. Okay. For an example, the God thought. Upanishad says that Sokamayata bhosyam prajayayeti. Sokamayata. It desired. What it desired? Let me become many. So when it desired and let me become many happened. So that is a thought actually. So desire is also a thought. So Supreme Self or Ishvara thought, Ishvara desired, which is a thought, and let me become many. Okay, he thought, Ishvara thought or Ishvara desired that let me become many. So that is a thought, and at the same time, this multifold universe, multiple universe with the individual beings came into existence. So thought is a source for the creation of the world. And when the thought started, and from that time onwards, the time and space also came into existence. That's what they are trying to tell.
হ্যাঁ, সেটাই কি, কারণ থটটাও তো এইগুলো দিয়েই তৈরি হচ্ছে। থট ইজ অলসো মিনস লাইক ইউ মেনশন দ্যাট থট অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইজ নাথিং বাট দ্য কম্বিনেশন অফ তন্মাত্রাস, সো ওয়েদার মানে সেই ডিম আগে না মুরগি আগে, থট আগে এসছে না তন্মাত্রা আগে এসছে। তো সেই জন্য বলা হচ্ছে যে থট তন্মাত্রা মানে থট দ্য তন্মাত্রা অর দ্য জগৎ অ্যান্ড দ্য টাইম অল থ্রি কেম সাইমালটেনিয়াসলি।
We can say, yeah, but so he thought, let me become many, and that's how the creation started. And see, and one more important point you have to understand is time. Really, does time exist?
কিছুই নেই, টাইমও নেই, মানে বেদান্তের পয়েন্টে।
No, you don't go to that extreme. Just I am asking you, simple, keep Advaita aside. Just as a common human being, without going to any philosophy, I am asking you, does time really exist? No, actually. Time is a mental phenomena. Time is a mental phenomena. I will give example. When you read Mandukya Karika, you will be able to understand. Now, one more question I will ask you or others also. Like whether we have got Swapnavastha, that is a state, then Jagradavastha, that is one more state, then Sushupti Avastha, deep sleep, dream state, and the waking state, so-called waking state. Now, time exists in the state or state exists in the time? সময় অবস্থার মধ্যে থাকে না অবস্থা সময়ের মধ্যে থাকে?
ওইটাই তো, দুটো আসলে এক
না এক কোথায় হবে? না, হবে না। অবস্থার মধ্যে সময় আছে না সময়ের মধ্যে অবস্থা আছে? See, we have got 24 hours. In the 24 hours, I have got Jagrada Avastha experience, I am Swapna Avastha experience, and I am Sushupti Avastha experience also. So that means time has got bigger container. In the time Avastha should be there, isn't it?
না, কিন্তু আমাদের যে টাইমের কনসেপ্টটা স্বপ্নে একরকম ক্যালকুলেশন, জাগ্রতে একরকম ক্যালকুলেশন, তাহলে ওই তো বললাম, তার মানে অবস্থার মধ্যেও টাইম আছে, টাইমের মধ্যেও অবস্থা আছে। আপনি যদি 24 ঘন্টা ধরেন, 24 ঘন্টা ধরলে 24 ঘন্টায় স্বপ্ন জাগ্রত সুষুপ্তি তিনটে আছে। আবার প্রত্যেকটা অবস্থায় টাইমের ক্যালকুলেশনটা আলাদা, স্বপ্নের টাইম।
Yes, you are right. So অবস্থার মধ্যে সময় আছে, সময়ের মধ্যে অবস্থা নাই। So generally we think that in the time we have got a states. সময়ের মধ্যে অবস্থা আছে আমরা ভাবি, এটা ভুল। সময়ের মধ্যে অবস্থা নাই, অবস্থার মধ্যে সময় আছে। একটা কথা কেমন, যেমন একটা স্বপ্নাবস্থা হলো। স্বপ্নে আপনারা আমেরিকা গিয়েছেন, আমেরিকাতে ডিজনিল্যান্ড গিয়েছেন, ডিজনিল্যান্ডে ঘুরলো, অনেক কিছু খেলা এসব করে হলো, কিন্তু আপনি তো শুয়েছিলেন, এসব হলো, আবার কেউ ডাকলো না, কিছু একটা রিং হলো, আপনি উঠলেন। সো 10 মিনিট খালি হয়েছে শুয়ে পড়ে, 10 মিনিটের মধ্যে আপনি আমেরিকাতে গিয়ে এসব ঘুরলেন। So 10 minutes in the Jagrada Avastha, so-called, if you say in the outside external time, in this 10 minutes, you finished, which is possible for probably 2 days or 1 or 2 days time experience, which is required in the Jagrada Avastha, that has been done in the Swapna Avastha. So the Swapna Avastha time and Jagrada Avastha time is different actually. So Avasthar moddhe Shamay ache, Shamayer moddhe Avastha nai. ঠিক আছে? So
স্পেসও তাই, অবস্থার মধ্যে স্পেস আছে। আমি ঘুমিয়ে ডিজনিল্যান্ডে গেছি।
So that means your time itself is mental phenomena. You are thinking, this question is coming, time isn't something perceptible is okay, but there is something entity called existing permanent entity, an object called time is there. That's what our mind is thinking. Our minds think generally. So mind is also a phenomena. It is a mental phenomena actually. It doesn't exist really. It doesn't exist really in the sense, right, it is a mental phenomena actually. So time also becomes your mental concept then. Space is also your mental concept then, isn't it? Then
exactly,
then there is only left out this what thought only then.
Yes, exactly. So ওই সেটাই বলেছে যে এই থটের মধ্যে এগুলো দুটোই রয়েছে, জগৎরূপ এবং কালরূপ দুটোই হচ্ছে ওই চিন্তাটার মধ্যেই, আমি বহু হব ওই চিন্তার মধ্যেই অ্যাকচুয়ালি সব আছে।
Thought. Everything is in your thought only then now.
Everything in Hiranyagarbha is thought.
Yes. And then how are we related? Because we are part of it. We are part of that cosmic mind. I am not different from him, no? I think there's a মজার গল্প আছে। একবার একজন ভক্ত ঠাকুরকে জিজ্ঞাসা করলেন, হ্যাঁ ঈশ্বর তো আমি বেশি হবো বললেন, শোকামায়তা বসে প্রজা ইয়েতি, ঈশ্বর তো ভাবলেন ঠিক আছে আমরা এসে গেলাম, কিন্তু এখন আমরা বিপদে পড়ে গেছি। ঈশ্বরের জন্য ওটা খেলা নিশ্চয়ই বটে, কিন্তু আমাদের জন্য ওটা আমাদের মানে বিপদে পড়ে গেছে, অনেক অসুবিধে, সংসার অনেক ঝামেলা এসব আছে, এটা ঠিক নেই, কিন্তু ঈশ্বর কেন করলেন এটা বলে এরকম একটা জিজ্ঞাসা করলেন। একজন ভক্ত সাধক জিজ্ঞাসা করল, ঠাকুর সঙ্গে সঙ্গে বললেন, তুমি কে তাহলে? তুমি তো ঈশ্বর, তবে কেন তুমি কাছামিচি করছো? তুমি তো ঈশ্বর হয়ে, তুমি ঈশ্বর মানে এটা আত্ম হয়ে, কিন্তু ওটা মানছো না আলোচনা করছো না, সেই জন্য সব অসুবিধে। তুমি যখন আত্ম বলে মানে ধরলে এসব চলে যাবে, না হলে ওদের মানে চলে যাবে একটা, না হলে তো একটু তোমার তো বিপদে পড়বে না আর অসুবিধা হবে না বলছে। সেই তুমি কে ঠাকুর জিজ্ঞাসা করলেন, বাস। So we are also part of that cosmic mind. That's the reason. Yes. Hope you have understood now.
Maharaj, we need a repetition of this topic again, because it is going really very tough. What you said just now, I have been following the discussion. It's very tough. I would request if you can repeat more after some time, so that we can think and then come back also. But the thing
অনেক বছরের পরে এটা বুঝলাম, অনেক বছরের এটা মানে হোমওয়ার্ক এর পিছনে আছে, এটা সঙ্গে সঙ্গে হলো রেডি টু ইট দিয়েছি, রেডি টু প্রোডাক্ট দিয়ে দিয়েছি সত্যি বটে, কিন্তু ওটা স্বীকার করার জন্য, ওটা হজম করার জন্য একটু মানে কাজকর্ম করতে হবে।
Exactly. But one thing, Maharaj, maybe a foolish question, but the thing is, as a Jivatma, we have thoughts, and there is a common practice to tell that yes, your thought is generated by your past karma. This is how your sanskar is created, and your sanskar gives you the thought. So understood as a Jivatma. Now, the Param Brahma, the creator, has got thought. Who is the creator of that? His thought. So this is the question. This thing, how the thought is created. So this is something is puzzling. Maybe I'm foolish, as told you, but I'm thinking back, like the she told, the creation back. So that's how I'm thinking. How this thought is created, and the thing is, if we are the reflection, like in Vedanta, normally the example is given as the sun and the many shadows and the many this thing. So we are reflections of the Param Brahma. So the Param Brahma. So how we are operating actually? What is that light we say, or the consciousness? How it is distributed and all this? So this is the question. I don't know whether I'm able to put the question itself. I'm really not getting that, but something I told. If you can say something, please tell me. Yeah.
No, before saying, let me know whether whether we have got time or what.
Maharaj, we got time, but whether it is your lunch time, that is the problem.
No, lunch time is still 1 more hour is there. That's okay. Okay. So your question, one question has got so many questions actually. Okay. First question will be, first and foremost, your point is, okay, I thought, why? Because of the God's energy or grace or whatever you're saying, that then etc. When you go, then how did God think?
Yes.
Who gave him power? So there is no need of giving any power for him, because he is all powerful. Okay. He is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, is all powerful. When I say, or when it is not only say, it is a fact also. When God is all powerful, and why do you think that there is some necessity for God also to activate his thinking? Yeah. Isn't it? So God is all powerful. When you say God is all powerful, you cannot put any limitations. How did God take birth? How did God come? How did God think? You can the question itself is will not stand, because when you say he's all powerful, he can do anything and everything. For example, our Prime Minister. How much ever say is all powerful, we say, but still he has limited powers, whatever it may be. But Prime Minister can do many things in our country, isn't it? For example, a chief minister, for example, an IAS officer, a district collector, you might say there in your areas. District collector has got a lot of powers, no doubt, but his powers are limited. But whereas Prime Minister's power, comparatively in the India, comparatively, it is unlimited, isn't it? He can do many things. So now God's power is unlimited when it is everything is possible, all powerful. It is everything is possible. So that's where you don't need anything else, extra force, extra agent, extra energy to activate God's thinking. Do you understand? He's all powerful. So there is no question at all. First point. Second is, how did God think? God can think at any time, at any point, given point of time, because all powerful. So why did he think? It is his will. How did he think? He can think. He thought from his mind. Second. Now, coming to the real fact. The problem is, we are told very clearly, Mandukya Upanishad tells very clearly, Brahman and Brahman alone exist. Consciousness and consciousness alone exist. First point. Immediately you'll say, okay, Maharaj, that's all fine. But I am seeing God, world. What about this then? Yeah, consciousness is appearing as the world. Okay, consciousness is appearing the world. How consciousness can appear as the world? Okay, my dear, consciousness with its power called Maya, it is using the power of Maya, Avarna Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, which we speak, it is appearing as the world. How is it? How? Then we bring this Panchikarna Tattva. How much ever I say, how much ever you feel, how much ever you know, I know, God alone exists, consciousness alone exists. Yeah, fine. But then what about this world? We get questioned. To quench our intellectual hunger, to quench our intellectual pursuit, Upanishads has given some ideas or some explanations. In reality, neither Rishis nor our Upanishads are interested. They are not interested in about this world and how it came into existence, why it is existing and all. They are asking, okay, it is existing now. Use this as a field, use this as a base, and try to understand, try to realize your true nature. That's all. So actually, this is the secret which no one can say. Again, Swamiji in one of his lectures beautifully has made this point. Every religion has tried to tell how the secret of creation, but none of us are able to tell. And Advaitins, we are sincere enough to say that we don't know. So our intention, all of this giving is to quench your intellectual thirst to certain extent. That's all. Our said that Baba to hoiga tika chato nai kano apni ye korchen chhede dao.
It is like this what Thakur told that am khete eschcho am khao kota gach ache ki ache kota pata ache. Why do you want to know that? Okay.
See, very interestingly,
yeah,
how
coming
it
back to
happens.
that statement actually, yeah.
Yes, once I was telling with 10 years before, maybe 10, 15 years before, I was talking with a monk or a brahmachari, and I said, look, somehow I can understand God. At least intellectually I can understand. I've got understanding and philosophies I've read and understood so many things. But somehow I feel difficult to understand this people's mind and this world. It is too difficult for me. I feel sometimes fearful also. It is too difficult for me to understand. Out of helplessness, I was telling this. Okay, out of helplessness. Instantly he told, Maharaj, you say that you have read philosophy, you have understood philosophy, and your philosophy is saying that the world now doesn't exist, then why are you bothering to understand? It was a tight slap on my face, and also it was so real. I said, yes, when doesn't really understand, why am I boggling my mind to understand this? Why am I getting disturbed from this? It is nonsense, futile. Leave it, give it up. Isn't it? So this conviction we should get. But till that conviction getting, we'll trying to understand, why is it, how is it, when is it?
We get at least in my case, I know I get convictions sometimes. Like few days, I'll be convinced about what you are saying. But again, after 7 days, 10 days, again the doubt comes in. Then why, how it is coming, then how it is coming, like this, the question comes in between, So, yeah, yeah.
Instead of getting some other questions, this type of questions are coming. It is good actually. Intellectual, at least we are at the level of intellect, no doubt. Yeah. Let it come, let it come. And you will try, and sometimes you will get tired and you will understand. Kono labh nahi esab nahi, Thakur ke dore taakbo bas. Ami ache, amar ma ache bas.
ওই জন্যই তো বললাম
Exactly,
মহারাজ।
that is the feeling. Exactly, that is the feeling now. Yes.
কিন্তু আপনিই তো আগের দিন বললেন ভক্তিপদের থেকে জ্ঞানপথ সোজা। It is also your
No,
Chatterjee ja. It is
I-
Now
your
we are getting
statement.
confused.
Yeah, your
no,
statement only.
please don't misunderstand me. I believe in what Swamiji told. This is a combination of four with predominance in Gyan. Which, like Thakur has told, na Advaita leke hate niye bakita karo. I believe in that. I don't know. I'm talking in front of Maharaj, but Maharaj should say whether I'm talking illogical or
No, Pranamda, don't worry, don't worry. There'll be some ups and downs, there'll be difference of opinions, changes, all these things will be happening. And by doing sadhana and by doing lot of spiritual exercises, spiritual yoga, when you do lot of spiritual exercises, a lot of ups and downs happens and we get tired and said, Thakur, ami ar kichu dorkane baba, tumi chada arko dorkane, bas. যখন এটা কমপ্লিটলি এটা কনভিন্স হয়ে যাবে সো ওটা থাক আলাদা থাকে
But
সো
but
ওই
a
সময়
follower of
কারো
but a
কিছু
follow,
বলার
but a
নাই
follower of Advaita Vedanta is speaking like this, then it's
See, this is what the very wrong idea of people. Oh, because of Advaita Vedantin, that doesn't mean that I surrender at the feet of Ramakrishna or the God. That should not be there. No, it is a very wrong idea. That itself is an immature idea, actually. I'm not telling any judgmental way, negative way. This is what a very wrong understanding for people. Ramana Maharshi, for example, who was one of the greatest Advaita Vedantin in these present days. He was the greatest Bhakta of Arunachala. His devotion towards the Shiva, Arunachala is what Shiva. His devotion towards Shiva was something magnanimous. He himself says that do japa. For quite a few people, he has told about japa. Swamiji himself was greatest Advaita Vedantin. When he received mantra diksha from his guru, Sri Ramakrishna, for whole day he was doing the japa and he was clapping his hands with a joy, and whole Panchavati and Dakshineshwar he was moving, dancing, he was dancing. The same fellow who, as a young Naren, who said, oh, this Radha and all, whether exists or not, this Radha love in Bhagavata, all these things are nonsense or it is just imagination, political imagination and all. Sri Ramakrishna said, if you don't believe it, keep quiet, but why are you disturbing others people's faith? Then he said, okay, fairly well, it is fairly good point, I'll keep quiet. I don't feel in that, I don't like, or I don't have any confidence or conviction in that, I keep quiet, he said initially. But one day, Thakur, he took Naren to Panchavati and he said, look, here is Radha. And he started looking, seeing here and there, where is Radha? So in no time, Sri Ramakrishna himself got converted into Radha. And he had a vision of Radha. Swamiji had a vision of Radha. That's it. Then onwards, he never had any doubt about Radha or Bhagavata, that love we speak of, Bhagavata love we speak and all. And interestingly, if you've seen the lecture from Colombo to Almora, again, there he tells the Bhagavad Gita's knowledge is something spectacular, being a Gita Jayanti. But in front of Radha's love of Bhagavata, the Bhagavad Gita's wisdom is nothing. Or nothing in the sense like it is very less tasty. This is much more. Now, who was the greatest Advaita Vedantin? Now he is telling that Radha's love is much more grand, much more beautiful. To understand, you need a lot of time and lot of intellectual maturity and other things. You see, Swamiji was Advaita Vedantin. And last days, if you see, after Shirbhavani's incident, which is very interesting, Swamiji's life, if you see, Ami ki jane, Ami Mayek chele, Shab Ma jane. Greatest Advaita Vedantin, who explained Vikalpa Samadhi. He taught Vedanta to the entire world. Last days, dekho. So that means Bhakti is supreme. No, I'm not saying that Bhakti is supreme or Jnana is supreme. I'm not going to it. Only I said. So being Advaita Vedantin, you cannot be Bhakta. Being a Bhakta, you cannot practice Advaita Vedanta. No, this is a very wrong concept.
It's a combination, as I said, as Swamiji has told it, the combination of
both are complementary. They are not contradictory.
Gyan Bhakti Seva Jog. So like all
so
four.
They are all complementary. So being Advaita Vedantin, it is not that I should not do japa, I should not go to temple, I should not speak of Sharanagati. No. At the same time, I am Bhakta, so I should not speak of Jnana, I should not read, I should not study. No, that's also not wrong idea. Or limited idea. Wrong idea, instead of saying that, probably using the right word, is limited idea. Both are complementary to each other, actually. But slowly, what happens based on our nature? So once you initially will not be knowing, we will be making an experiment with every yoga. Sometimes meditation, sometimes jnana, sometimes bhakti, sometimes karma yoga. This is better, we feel, and we will make experiments. How much ever we see here and all, that's what it happens in our life, in every sadhaka's life. After some mental maturity, emotional maturity, spiritual maturity, and some advancement in sadhana afterwards, based on our nature, one yoga will take predominant in our life. Either bhakti yoga or karma yoga or meditation or gnana yoga, that will be predominant. All others will become supplementary to that. So that we should be very clear.
Yeah, it's very well understood. But the concept of space and time must be repeated once.
Some other time
So
we'll see.
I'm real. It's churning in the brain. Actually, that's why I was
Let
keeping
it,
quiet.
let it
Yeah.
churn. It should churn. Then only, then it will be yours. See what happens actually when I tell, I will break all that, sizzle it and break it points and one by one. Logically, I try to put it in front of you. Yesterday, even one devotee afterwards, she called me and saying, "Mara, so nicely you explained, so beautifully step by step. We didn't add anything else to ask you doubt or whatever." Anyhow,
Yes. Yes.
so so now when I tell you, you will understand. You may get convinced also. But after some time, again question may come, or you will think that, I thought that day I understood, again I'm back to square. That why happens? Because now when I'm telling you, are able to understand, you are able to comprehend. But if you have to understand, if you have to get convinced, you have to do some homework. রাজা মহারাজ বললেন, রাজা মহারাজকে জিজ্ঞাসা করলেন কেউ, মানে ঠাকুর শরীর ছেড়ে দিয়েছিলেন, সো বৃন্দাবনে গিয়ে অনেক সাধনা করছিলেন। তো কেউ জিজ্ঞাসা করলো, মহারাজ আপনি তো ঠাকুরের সন্তান, ঠাকুর সব দিয়ে দিয়েছেন আপনাকে, আপনি কেন ওটা কষ্ট করছেন, কেন তপস্যা আপনাকে দরকার? হ্যাঁ ঠাকুর বটে, ঠাকুর সব দিয়ে দিয়েছেন আমাদেরকে, কিন্তু আমাদের করতে হবে, তো এটা আমাদের করার জন্য সব সাধনা করছি। সো বিউটিফুল স্টেটমেন্ট। Thakur has given everything for me, but to make mine my own, so I have to do sadhana. Yes, acharyas are there to give you, they will give you. But to make yours own, you have to make homework. You have to think, you have to churn yourself in the mind. That samudra mantana has to happen in the mind, actually. Churning of the mind has to happen. So you have to get doubts, you have to get questions. Some sleeps you should lose your sleep. So many sleeps I have lost because of all these questions. So then only you are serious, that means. So all these things happens, then at some point of time, you will understand.
No, the sleeps like midnight thoughts, they do occur. I mean, now that you have told, so I am confirming it does occur. Like night 2 o'clock, all of a sudden, you start thinking something else. Like the why and why, all this question comes like this. It's like this, yeah.
সেটাই তো মনন না,
It's-
সেটাই তো মনন।
Yeah.
শ্রবণ ইজ নট জাস্ট হিয়ারিং না মহারাজ, শ্রবণ মিনস আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং। তাহলে আপনি যেটা বলছেন যে আমরা মহারাজের এক্সপ্লেনেশনটা শুনে আমাদের মনে হচ্ছে আমরা বুঝেছি, সেই অবধি হচ্ছে শ্রবণ। শ্রবণ ইজ নট জাস্ট হিয়ারিং, ইট ইজ হিয়ারিং উইথ ক্লিয়ার আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং। তারপরে এই যে আমাদের চার্নিং করতে হবে মনন, তবে তো গিয়ে তারপরে তো নিদিধ্যাসন তো কবে হবে তার ঠিক নেই। ওই জন্যই তো আমি ভেবেছিলাম আপনি মুন্ডকের পরে মান্ডুক্য নেবেন, which is automatic।
না মান্ডুক্য নিলে তো ওটা অনেক একটু বেস থাকতে হবে।
হ্যাঁ, তো আপনি একেবারে প্র্যাকটিসে চলে গেলেন, সবাই বললো ভীষণ ফিলোসফি হয়ে গেছে, প্র্যাকটিস এবার হবে। আর আপনি তো আর আপনি ওদের বেলা কেন রিপিট করছেন? আপনার সাধন পঞ্চকম এর বেদান্ততে হচ্ছে, এবার ওটা ওখানে রিপিট করছেন, আর আমাদের লীলা প্রসঙ্গর বেলা রিপিট করা যায় না। See, I am following everything, okay.
But I have a suggestion for this group. You take class every day, Maharaj. Every day 1 hour we should be good there. Then we will also be serious, and it will give us this thing. Sometime you make it 1 hour daily. We will all attend. I can vouch for it.
সো ওখানে সাধনা পঞ্চকম করতে রেডি আছি, তাহলে আমাকে এটা লীলা প্রসঙ্গ কেন করছেন না? কেন আপনি লীলা প্রসঙ্গ প্রথম থেকে স্টার্ট করেছেন, আমরা তো মাঝখানে থেকে স্টার্ট করেছি। তো
আহা, সে তো আপনি মাঝখান থেকে স্টার্ট করেছেন, কি করব, ইংরেজি একে লীলা প্রসঙ্গ, তাই ইংরেজি, বাংলা পড়তে হবে না, ওই জন্য বাংলা প্রথম থেকে শুরু করেছি। আপনি
না,
করলেন
আমি
না বলে তো
বলছি
মনের দুঃখে আমরা নিজেরা পড়ছি করে কিচ্ছু বুঝতে পারছি না।
না, ওটা ঠিক আছে। আমি বলছি আমি মাঝখানে থেকে স্টার্ট করেছি, মাঝখানে থেকে পড়তে আরম্ভ করেছি। আপনারা প্রথম দিকে আছেন তো এগুলো তো আমি তো বুঝিনি এখনো। আমি মাঝখানে থেকে স্টার্ট করেছি তো
আমি
তো
আপনার
বোঝানোর
মাঝখান
জন্য।
থেকেও শুনছি, কোনো চিন্তা নেই। না, তবে আমি 11 অবধি পৌঁছতে পারিনি, আমি একটু ব্যাকলগে আছি, অনেক কিছু চলছিল সেই জন্য ব্যাকলগে আছি। 8 অবধি হয়েছে, 9, 10, 11 বাকি আছে।
ঠিক আছে, এবার তো এখন তো মানে 15 দিন তো ছুটি থাকবে, সো ক্রিসমাস হলিডেজ তো হয়ে
ও
যাবে আপনার।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, হয়ে যাবে,
হুম,
করতে হবে।
ঠিক আছে, তাহলে
তাহলে
অনেক সময় হয়ে যাবে।
হ্যাঁ, পরের দিন তাহলে কবে হবে সেটা একটু বলে দিন।
উম, আগামী সপ্তাহে আমি ফ্রি আছি, করতে পারি।
তাহলে কি এর নেক্সট লেকচারটা হবে?
18th, হ্যাঁ, আপনার কি চাইছেন বলুন। হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ,
রামেশ্বর,
রিয়েল ভার্সন,
রিয়েল
রামেশ্বরম
হ্যাঁ,
করতে
রিয়েল,
পারে, হ্যাঁ।
হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে।
হুম,
কারণ আমাদের ওই অবধি এমনি পড়াও আছে, রামেশ্বরম অবধি না, আমাদের তার পরেরটাও পড়া আছে, পরমকুটি বোধহয়, না রামনাথ।
না মানে দেখ, আরেকটা আরেকটা আপনারা ভাবুন, সব লেকচার দরকার আছে নাকি, আপনারা যদি বুঝে গেছে ঠিক আছে, দরকার নেই বলে আমরা পরে লেকচারে যেতে পারি বলছি আর কি।
না, এই যে এইটাও তো সহজ মনে হয়েছিল, কিন্তু আপনি কত ইন বিটুইন লাইন বললেন, সেই জন্য দরকার আছে।
কি কি মানে আপনারা মানে আপনি বলছেন, হ্যাঁ একটু তো এক্সট্রা তো থাকবে নিশ্চয়ই আমাদের যখন বলবো আমি নিশ্চয়ই, কিন্তু মানে এমন আছে আপনাদের, হ্যাঁ বুঝেনি এগুলো তো আমরা তো বুঝেনি, যখন পড়েছিলাম অনেক কিছু বেশি বুঝলাম, অনেক কিছু এক্সট্রা বুঝলাম, এরকম মনে হচ্ছে নাকি?
হ্যাঁ, ইন বিটুইন লাইন্স তো আমরা পড়িনি না, আমরা জাস্ট রিডিং পড়ে যেটা বুঝেছিলাম বলা আছে সেরকম। তো and the previous two lectures, Vedantism and the first one, that those help না এটা to understand this lecture, কিন্তু না হচ্ছে যখন পুরোটাই হোক।
ঠিক আছে।
বোঝা যায় মহারাজ, এমনিতে তো বুঝতে পারি খানিকটা তো ইন্টেলিজেন্স আছে, কিন্তু
হুম,
দ্য ক্ল্যারিটি উইচ কামস
হ্যাঁ
আফটার ইয়োর এক্সপ্লেনেশন, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য অ্যাকচুয়ালি দ্য ভ্যালু উই গেট। দ্য ক্ল্যারিটি মানে মাথার মধ্যে মানে ক্ল্যারিফিকেশনটা খুব ভালোভাবে অ্যানালিসিস করে চলে যায়।
আমাদের
yeah,
অ্যানালিসিসটা হয় না মহারাজ, উই
হ্যাঁ
আর গেটিং দ্য ট্রান্সলেশন মেবি, কিন্তু অ্যানালিসিসটা হয় না।
হ্যাঁ
and
ওই
that we have to develop, yes. So, I mean, initially, even I also thought I understood, but slowly, maybe with the Guru Maharaj grace and the Guru's grace or whatever, then I mean, I observed with few people and also I developed it. Yes, I'm ready to help you, no doubt. But you can also, I mean, what I wish to say, everyone try to develop this analytical study also, I wish to say.
then next Wednesday also we can have this Colombo 12 পড়া. It is okay with others probably. অসুবিধা নেই তো কারোর?
না ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ
আমার তো ভোটিং পাওয়ার নেই, তো সুতরাং যাদের ভোটিং পাওয়ার আছে, লেট দেম ভোট এন্ড টেল।
অবশ্যই আপনার জিজ্ঞাসু ইজ ফর অল, মহারাজও বলে দিয়েছেন, সুতরাং এখানে সবাইকার ভোটিং পাওয়ার আছে না। আজকে অবশ্য ওই ওনাকে বলেছিল তো ওই অসীমদা। ঠিক আছে, নেক্সট উইক তাহলে আমরা নেক্সট বুধ।
ঠিক আছে, ভালো থাকবেন।
প্রণাম মহারাজ।
প্রণাম মহারাজ।
প্রণাম মহারাজ।